So today we're going to make a Slingbox extender. All we're going to need is one of these Cat 5 tips, and basically it's going to have a Cat 5 at the end of it. And then we're going to need these connectors here. So you can basically buy a whole bunch that look like this, and you can get them off eBay. And what they do is they either unscrew or they just twist on. And basically there's two wires inside. These are called RCA plugs. Now, so in my completed set I have one red one, just arbitrarily, this is for video, and the other two which is for audio. Personally I don't care which side is which, but I can test that later. I also have this. This is basically a headphone 1/8mm jack, and again I bought them on eBay. So you can buy a set that basically is one female and one male connector, and they plug right in, and then you can basically unscrew them. And when you unscrew them, you get something that looks like this wire. So what we're going to do is put them all together. So in this particular set, what I've done is I followed the color-coded pairs, so blue, brown, and green, just arbitrarily, and those are going to represent different RCA cables. I also used heat shrink to identify the colors. For example, blue represents that this is a blue and white pair, but of course that's up to you. I have a heat shrink here just to keep it all together, and then I also have the speaker cable here. Now on the speaker cable on the back of the Slingbox, I'm going to use an extender. The extender goes from a mini stereo jack into a Y jack, and what this does is it's going to send the infrared signal through the wire. Okay, so once I basically figure out this part is going to be at the Slingbox, this is going to connect to that jack, and these are going to connect to the audio video inputs to give me a second input, so to speak. Okay, so let's pull this a little bit and let's get this going here. I'm following the B pair just because that's just how I normally do it. So we got orange and white and orange. Fold it, and we're going to take our crimper tool, the one that usually comes with the kit from the jack, pack of 10 jack at Home Depot, about $7 or so. We're going to basically punch that through, and we got the white and orange pair, and we're going to punch that through as well. Okay, so punch through all of them just to make sure it's nice and tight, and that's going to leave us like this. Okay, some people prefer to cut it. I just prefer to cut it just a little bit just to keep it flush. After cutting it, I can then put the top on it, which is going to seal everything in place. So go ahead and do that here. Okay. Now keep in mind that you have to figure out which part goes to the sling and which part goes to your receiver. Okay. So the one that's going to your sling will have the male end for the infrared, and the one that goes to the receiver is going to have the opposite. So this is my other side of it, where I will connect it to the receiver. I'm not done yet, but you can see here that I've already done 3 of the wires, and I have the remaining wire to do. So this is the other part that I just finished here. This is just a heat shrink tubing, and I just use a blowtorch to make it shrink a little bit, keep everything nice and tight, just give it a little bit of insulation. And then that leaves me with simply putting on the remaining wires. I'm following the B pair again, so I'm going to use orange and white and orange. Now one thing to keep in mind is that on the other side I'm going to have an infrared transmitter. So I don't have to make this wire too long because it's going to have a transmitter on the other side. Okay, plug everything in, make sure everything is nice and tight, and I'm going to make sure I don't put that one in there. Okay, and then this one is all set. Now, to basically to basically finish up this cable, I'm going to just test it out. Okay, the easiest way to test it is to put a RJ45 wire between these two and just make sure that it works. Because this way I know that all the connectors are functioning properly. So just take a short little blue 1-foot RJ45 cable and just test it locally. After you're done doing that, you then take one of these infrared connectors, which is usually just like an eighth, and then you just stick it in there. This one is not the right size, but there's a mini and there's a bigger one. So, in a nutshell, that's how you make an extension for your Slingbox. This is the other end of our TV box. The cable that we made connects here, and then goes into an infrared emitter. And you can't see this, but the audio video go underneath the component cables. And this is the final touches according to the Slingbox. I switched the video because this is a better wire, and we can see that it goes to the Cat5 on this end, and it comes out as a microphone input into a Y splitter, which goes into the Slingbox. So, in a nutshell, this is how you create another input using RCA. We use 8 wire pairs here, visible to heat shrink, and the infrared also gets transmitted.